Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Guys, I cannot believe it. We are talking once again about the fake news. And in today's video, Yahoo Finance, the Yahoos at Yahoo Finance, have stooped to new lows. I really mean this. I cannot believe I'm making another video about the fake news. Let's just get straight into it and see exactly what I'm talking about. If you love crypto, stocks, and free stuff, or just want to help out the channel, check out these great offers. BlockFi are launching the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card. People in the US can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase with no annual fee using the BlockFi Bitcoin rewards credit card. Check out the link in the description. And for a limited time, you can get up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, where you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. If you want your free crypto, use the link in the description. And if you'd like up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $300 just for opening an account. And if you make an initial deposit of $5 or more, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $2,000. Seriously. Free stocks? Yes, please. And finally, if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also linked in the description. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Let's get back to it. As most of you folks will know, I like to pay attention to what the mainstream media is saying about Tesla, not as a source of information, but as a data point to understand what these clowns are spoon-feeding into the minds of investors on one end of the bell curve who actually think they're reliable sources of information. Believe it or not, there's still people out there that pay attention to and heed the advice, comments, and information shared by the Yahoos on Yahoo Finance, the propagators of FUD on CNBC, the bellends at the Wall Street Journal, the dipsticks on Bloomberg, and many in between. And this isn't to paint the entire mainstream finance media with a single unified brush of being completely brain-dead, poorly incentivized morons. That's only about 98% of them. So there are a few exceptions to the rule. But in general, the mainstream media is at best incompetent and at worst malicious. This is a perfect example. Now, I'm sure the Muppets over at Yahoo Finance will claim, oh, this was just an innocent mistake. So, what are we talking about here, guys? I've just done a search for some recent content relating to Tesla posted in the last 24 hours. I come across this video from Yahoo Finance entitled, "Teenage Boy Dies in Car Crash Involving Tesla Model 3. I look at the introduction, it's got the word Tesla in there as the first line, then we've got Bugatti, Rimac. Now, remember, we've talked about this in the past. Most people just read headlines. This is a headline that will be propagated on stock apps all over the world. When people are looking at Tesla, they look at news, they see this headline, they don't read into it anymore, they don't even watch the video. Well, this guy actually decided to watch the video. And here's the strange thing. This video has literally nothing to do with a teenage boy dying in a car crash involving a Tesla Model 3 at all. Like, literally nothing. Of course, Yahoo will blame the intern. Oh, they must have put the wrong title on the video. Yeah, I'm not buying that. This is blatant, dishonest, manipulative clickbait. The reason that this stuff irks me so much is because it has real-world consequences. As I've mentioned in the past, if a consumer sees a few headlines, Tesla autopilot crash, danger, dead, blah, 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 and like most people, doesn't actually look into it any further, they may in the back of their mind have this idea that Teslas are unsafe when in fact they make the world's 4 safest vehicles ever tested, and they continue to improve and become even safer as autopilot improves even more. That as a result may cause this person to avoid purchasing a Tesla in the future. Next minute they get into a wreck and end up dead because they weren't in one of the world's 4 safest vehicles. These clowns will literally have blood on their hands. This is why this bugs me so much. So we're going to watch the video now. The video that has absolutely nothing to do with the title hostility intern. What a terrible mistake. Naughty, naughty intern. We've definitely fired them as a result of this major mistake. And I don't want you guys to worry so much about the complete and utter absence of content relating to the title. I mean, the fact that this is misleading is one thing. But I want you to pay more attention to the content of the actual piece, which once again is an overt attempt to smear Tesla with a fuddy brush, to paint the company in a negative light, to generate clicks, cause drama, and scare people, not only out of the company, but potentially out of the stock. This is blatant stock market manipulation, at least a failed attempt at it, because as we've talked about recently, the FUD seems to no longer be working. Investors are too smart. Maybe they've stopped paying attention to the mainstream media and now paying attention to reasonable, reliable sources of information rather than drama, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But before we do that, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a pro tip. If you ever see a douche lord, including the likes of Yahoo Finance, mistitling, clickbaiting in a video on YouTube, there's a solution to this. Let me show you what you need to do. So here we are looking at a video on YouTube, and if we scroll down just a little bit, you'll notice these 3 dots. See this? Teenage boy dies in car crash involving Tesla Model 3. Report. Now, why am I reporting this? Spam or misleading. Now, what is this? Content that is massively posted or otherwise misleading in nature. Is this misleading in nature? I believe it is. I've watched the video and it's got nothing the fuck to do with the title. So, I'm going to report this misleading text. Title has nothing, literally nothing to do with the actual content. This video is not about a teenage boy dying in a car crash involving a Tesla Model 3. This is clickbait at its worst. P.S. Yahoo are fake news. Report. Done. If enough of us do that, and please don't report this video unless you actually watch it, there's a link in the description. So watch the video, make sure you don't just blindly copy what I've done. Watch the video, and if you agree that it's completely misleading, feel free to report the video. Also, what will happen on the back end at YouTube is I'll get a bunch of reports that this video is false and misleading. They'll investigate and they'll discover that it is exactly that, and it will be dealt with accordingly. So now that that's out of the way, mistake or otherwise, I just can't let this stuff slide. We're now going to watch the actual video that I believe was completely, blatantly, misleadingly titled, and we'll discover that this is once again an overt attempt to scare people away from Tesla. The fake news are really earning their title. I do not understand how these people can sleep at night.
Well, an incident over the weekend once again highlighting the safety of Teslas. This was a Tesla Plaid that caught fire in Pennsylvania. It took a long time to extinguish. Reportedly, the owner of the car was actually a fairly significant investor in the company. Our Pras Subramanian is here. And there was also a report in the New York Times that sort of detailed.
Check out the card in the corner if you guys haven't seen my video on this particular incident. A lot of things are not quite adding up there, of course. Pure speculation, we'll have to wait until the investigation is concluded. But again, there seems to be a huge amount of fake news and FUD going after Tesla at the moment in the lead up to their posting of Q2 results. And guess what? Zero of this FUD actually seems to be impacting the stock.
The safety issues that the company's been having with autopilot, Pras. And it's so fascinating to me. These reports keep piling up. Investors don't really seem to care.
Yeah, and it's a little surprising.
Now, I've got to admit, this is kind of funny. They're very purveyors of FUD, spreaders of lies, misinformation, clickbait, scaring people, planting seeds of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, openly acknowledging, hang on a minute, despite all the fake news that we're scaring people with, it doesn't seem to actually be impacting Tesla stock. That's kind of surprising. I'm just going to say it one more time. Legacy media is dead. People are too smart for this. Alternative forms of information, Twitter, YouTube, etc. are really taking over. The smart people, the smart money is paying attention to these news sources, not those with poorly aligned incentives. You know, like those whose bills are primarily paid by legacy automotive manufacturers advertising on their networks. And then of course there's short sellers who are actively shorting companies and then going to appear on these media outlets to share their thoughts and opinions, their unbiased thoughts and opinions about the company, scaring people, damaging the stock price and making millions of dollars. People are starting to wake up to this reality. It's no longer working, and I'm really glad to see this.
I mean, to me personally, the battery fire was most concerning because of the fact that it sort of came out of nowhere and the owner was trapped in the vehicle.
Fake news. Owner was not trapped in the vehicle. How do we know this? Well, apart from the fact that they're still alive today and apparently the vehicle was ablaze, therefore if they were trapped in the vehicle and had no way to get out, they would be a piece of toast at this point in time, which they are not. This gentleman is irresponsibly regurgitating what was claimed by one of the multiple lawyers who almost instantaneously began representing this client after this incident. How coincidental. Who claimed that the owner was trapped inside the vehicle. Yet when we actually look into the details of the incident, they were able to get themselves out of the vehicle by using the latch to open the door. Doesn't really sound like they were trapped, just saying. I mean, that's like me saying I'm trapped in my apartment till I put my key in the door and let myself out.
But with regards to this New York Times story and the autopilot, the big question here is, are we going to continue to be beta testers for Tesla technology? That's the question that, NHTSA, the National Highway and Traffic and Safety Administration, has to deal with, because, there has been at least 24 investigations into autopilot crashes, and NHTSA is investigating 10 deaths because of that.
Now, if I was a spineless little bitch, I'd try to think of a politically correct way to make the following statement, but guess what? I don't really care about being politically correct. I just share my opinions, like it or leave it. This is one of those instances. If you've got an IQ, 1 or 2 standard deviations, or maybe even more below average, and you're watching this, you might be a little bit concerned. Oh my God, what? How many 10 deaths? What the heck? And not understand what's going on. Let me explain something to you. NHTSA investigate all sorts of crashes that go on from all sorts of automakers. Of course, we never hear about any automaker beside Tesla. Investigation does not equate to finding a fault of the automotive manufacturer. In fact, this is almost entirely the opposite of what goes on. Practically every time there's a NHTSA investigation into a Tesla-related vehicle crash, again, none of the other vehicle manufacturers get any coverage on the hundreds, thousands of investigations into crashes involving their vehicles, it turns out that Tesla was not at fault and no action is necessary. But most of the dullards watching Yahoo Finance and believing them to be a reliable source of information think, man, lots of investigations. Investigation must mean that they're at fault. Oh my gosh, Teslas are unsafe. I'm not buying a Tesla. And like I said, these idiots are going to have blood on their hands because people get scared out of actually purchasing one of the 4 safest vehicles ever tested because they misinterpret this FUD. And this is the whole point, right? Even mentioning these investigations, but then not detailing the numbers and the statistics and explaining an investigation doesn't mean Tesla's at fault, is spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and it's not cool. And by the way, guys, just to be super clear, I'm not disparaging people who have below average intelligence. I'm just making the point that they are easily manipulated by this deceptive reporting.
So the autopilot stuff is a bit more, it's voluntary from the user point of view, but it's actually Tesla putting a lot of technology in the hands of users that may not be mature yet. We myself, Rick Newman and I tested the GM Super Cruise technology, and that had more of a monitoring effect on the driver, whereas Tesla's technology here, autopilot, doesn't necessarily track your eyes or your actual attention to the road. So I think it's a big question for NHTSA and also for investors who, like you said, are shaking this off because they don't see it as a kind of a major mover with regards to the onslaught of where this company is going with when it hits 200,000 vehicle deliveries every quarter, or this most recent quarter.
Yeah, I mean, again, when we talk about the role of NHTSA, historically, what has been the bar, right? Whether we're talking about the fires or autopilot, like at what point does NHTSA step in and say, well, Tesla, you have to improve your monitoring technology in the autopilot, or, they have done some investigations of the battery fires in the past, but what are we expecting further from them?
Poor uninformed host. I think she means well. I don't think she's malicious at all, but I do think she's completely and utterly clueless. Allow me to hypothetically finish what I believe was her thought there. The train of thought there was, well, hang on, there's been investigations into Tesla in the past from NHTSA. Why haven't they done anything? You know why? Because Tesla hasn't been at fault. Okay, this is the whole point. People don't get this. An investigation does not mean the company is at fault. I remember some ridiculous unintended acceleration FUD a while ago. Huge news everywhere. NHTSA investigating Tesla for unintended acceleration. And what came of that? Just as one example, NHTSA determined sudden acceleration complaints in Tesla vehicles were due to driver error. Surprise. And at the conclusion of the investigation into the lies that Teslas were suddenly accelerating, did any of the fake news outlets begin running equivalent numbers of headlines and stories saying, hey guys, guess what? No fault of Teslas. In fact, this was entirely made up and completely untrue. We apologize for even running these initial headlines and misleading you guys. Of course they didn't, because they had more FUD to report. You guys understand how the media works, right?
NHTSA doesn't really have the guidelines that say, hey, if you have 10 deaths with regards to this other technology, then you need to kind of tail it back a little bit. So I think it's more of they have to kind of feel the flow of what they're seeing in incident rates, because I have to imagine that, with other companies like GM Super Cruise, there aren't any deaths, right? Whereas Tesla has a bunch of them. Now Tesla has more vehicles on the road, and we're going to see more of these happen as more and more cars come online here. But it kind of makes me think about the fact that Elon Musk said as much at the Tesla Plaid event that he wants to take choice away from users. So he thinks that's the safest option, is for users to have less input. And I don't think we're there yet with the level 2 and not even level 3 autopilot driving we have so far. It's not there yet, and I think NHTSA. I have to ask what will it take for them to actually step in and say, you know what, you need to tail this back, or you need to add more monitoring features for the drivers.
What would it take for NHTSA to actually step in and do something? What would it take? Is this guy serious? It would take NHTSA actually finding a fault, a problem, a safety concern, a risk. Seriously, I can't believe this guy just said that on television.
Hey, Praz, switching gears here. I know you own a couple Bugattis here. Are you surprised to see the Volkswagen news this morning?
Now, I don't want to spoil the rest of the video for any of you hanging on the edge of your seat after reading that alluring title about the tragic death of a teenage boy in an accident involving a Tesla Model 3. But, they're done talking about Tesla, guys. So...
I'm not, and let me get into that. It's a really kind of a complicated deal with Rimac, an upstart electric company in Croatia that has been doing a lot of engineering for other companies, taking on a majority stake here in Bugatti, with Porsche, Volkswagen portfolio company, holding 45%. But I'm not surprised to see it, because Bugatti is a 112-year-old company that's been sort of making these one-off supercars that sell for $3 million and are all gas-powered. But the future is electric, right? And we had the Bugatti America's COO on Yahoo Finance a couple months ago, and he spoke about how they had no choice in terms of electrification, that it was going to be, there's no way to avoid it, is what he told us. But then I also asked him about, a spin-off or an IPO or any kind of one of those types of ventures. And he said, that would give them the flexibility to quote, push the envelope. And I think pushing the envelope here means, how can you make a supercar electric? And the Rimac guys have already done that with the Navara 1,000 horsepower supercar that I know, Sazi, we might have to put an electric motor into your Firebird. That might actually make it kind of compete with that car.
I'm all for it. Well, actually, no, I'm not all for it. No, I'm all about keeping it stock. I don't want any electric motors in my 91 Trans Am. I'm just saying here. Good luck with your Bugattis, though.
I have to say,
Thanks,
you guys, I enjoy your Instagram accounts especially when you guys have the good car content. So everybody should check that out as well. Pras, thanks so much for being here this morning and talking us through all the car stuff.
So I just wanted to give Yahoo a fair chance there and play the full clip in its entirety, all 4 minutes and 38 seconds, just in case I somehow missed the part where they discussed what was in the title, the tragic fatal accident involving a teenage boy in a Tesla Model 3, but I somehow missed it. I didn't see anything about that. I did see the title actually written in the beginning of the video, but there was no discussion about this supposed accident. Of course, I'm sure the intern that made this terrible accidental mistake has since been talked to, and it will never happen again. As you guys probably know by now, this FUD really gets to me. I think the key is that these guys and girls are going to have blood on their hands. Some of these folks may be able to sleep well at night. They may think to themselves, oh, it's just my job. I've got to have a negative angle, a bit of discussion, show this side, show that side. Some of them may even have producers in their ears saying, hey guys, you need to be a little bit more negative. Ratings are down. All these motherfuckers are watching YouTube now and paying attention to guys who don't even shave every day instead of you. We've got to do something about this. We've got to fight back. Let's just stir up some fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Otherwise, you won't have a job. You won't be able to feed your family. Maybe that's where they're coming from here. But in either case, as I've said in the past, I can't let this stuff slide. And more importantly than that, as I've noticed in the last few weeks, it seems like the FUD is no longer having the same effect that it once did. I think Tesla stock investors, in general, are starting to really wake up and realize that practically everything they hear in the mainstream finance media is nothing but fake news. As I wrap this video up, I'd love you guys to let me know in the comments below. Do you believe this was an innocent mistake from Yahoo Finance or malicious intent? And to be honest, I'm really not so certain. It may have been a mistake. Maybe they originally planned to discuss this so-called accident and they pre-arranged the title, the thumbnail, and the description, and then for some reason they had to cut that part that never actually aired, and they just innocently made a mistake and left all the old fuddy stuff around. But then of course there is the possibility that they had malicious intent, or they thought to themselves, you know what, let's be a little bit sneaky, let's push the boundaries of what's actually reasonable and honest, because we desperately need some clicks, because right now nobody's watching us and everybody's watching YouTube. Let me know in the comments below. Was it an innocent mistake or malicious intent? This incident brings to mind a great quote: never attribute to malice that which can be explained by stupidity. So the question is, are Yahoo legitimate morons, or was there malicious intent? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan, this is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card, where you can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase. There's a link in the description. You can also earn up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, also linked below. And finally, don't forget your free stocks with WeBull and Stake, also linked in the description. These great offers also help out the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.